Hello and welcome to Library Drawing Party. Today we're going to be drawing two foxes. To get started, let's take our number 2 pencil and start to sketch the outline of the foxes. I like to start with the eyes because they're the most important part of any animal. You get to see their emotions and what they're interested in. So since he's looking up at this fox, or she, I'm going to be drawing just a straight line to indicate that upward look. Then I'm going to draw this slightly curved line for the nose, with the tip of the nose being black, and then the top of the mouth, and then the bottom of the mouth. And then this part I want to draw really lightly because I want this to be white. And then the ears are a triangle shape. And the second ear is right behind the first ear, so you can barely see it. And then there's the forehead here. And let's draw the neck, which comes down to the belly. Let's draw the curve of the belly. And let's start drawing in the oval of the tail. And then the curve of the back and the curve of the back of the neck. Then let's draw the legs and the feet. The feet are cut off a bit by the snow. And then the front leg. And then the back legs have a bit of an angle to them. And then that front back leg kind of just blends in with the tail. And then for our fox sitting on the rock, their noses are pretty close together. So I want it to be slightly higher than the nose of fox on the ground. And there's a little bit of a smile. They're happy to see each other. And since the head is pointing down, we're not going to see all of the bottom jaw, but we do want to hint at it. And then for the eyes, they're almost like black triangles. And then a curved line above. And then the ears are these curved triangles. And then the neck and the belly. And the feet with the legs. The front, the right front leg is cutting off some of the view of the front left leg. And then we have these angular legs in the back. And the feet. And I'm just gonna hint at the rocks right now. We'll come back to those once we start working on watercolors. Okay, I wanna clean the mouth up a little bit here. It seems a little too neat. Every fox in nature is going to look different, so it's perfectly fine if your fox looks different than mine. Pull this nose down a bit too. Starting to look a bit more like a deer than I would like. Give him those triangles too. And a bit of shading. Okay, now that we have our fox outline, let's take our black and let's add in some details. So I'm going to put some black in the ears, some shadow inside the ears and behind the ears, and then the nose and the eyes. And we want to make sure that the foxes are looking at each other because they're communicating to one another. And the inside of the mouth is black, although we can do parts of it gray, give it some texture. And then let's just work on the face for right now. So let's do the eyes. And I'm gonna erase my number 2 pencil marks so I can bring out the highlights of the pupil. You can also use a black marker for this step. And I'm going to do the backs of the ears. I'm going to add in some shading. The neck's looking a little full of me, so I'm going to bring that up a bit. Okay, now I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to start adding the classic orange color of the fox. I'm going to save some room for the white of the underbelly. And I'm just going to be doing a base coat right now in orange. So I want to make sure I'm saving some space on the page for other colors to be mixed in. And since foxes have short hairs, I want to use short strokes to really capture that fur. But when you're doing the tail has longer hair. So I'm going to use longer strokes there. I'm also going to put some orange in the legs. Okay, now I'm going to take my sand color and give some extra texture to the body and the tops of the legs. I'm going to take some brown and put in some shading, particularly behind the ears, by the eyes, by the nose, maybe even around the mouth. And by the underside of the belly. And to help define the leg muscles. And in the tail. I'm going to put some brown in the bottom of the legs, but we do want that to be mostly black. So I want to save some space on the page for the black, which we can do now. So now you can go ahead and use the full force of the pencil, but be sure to keep some of the colors that we just added visible. And this doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line because there is fur. We just want to make sure that it looks like the legs and the feet. And the feet are going to be completely black, so the parts that are visible above the snow can be completely colored in. I'm going to add in some more of the black to the tail too. And some short lines for the belly and by the leg muscles, and adding in some shading for back muscles. The fox needs to be fit to live in the wild. Add in some more sand color to mix this in a bit more. Okay, and then our next fox, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to take our orange and work on the head first. There's a lot of sand color in the head actually, so I'm going to switch to my sand watercolor first so I can get that by the eyes, and then add in my orange. That way we can get this fox's fur markings. Then the orange goes all the way down the nose. And then up through the body. We still want to keep those short strokes to show the short fur. But we still want to save some space to mix in colors. We can work on the legs. So I'm taking my brown now and I'm adding some shadow behind the ears, and then up through the legs, the back legs. I'm going to take my sand color and add that through the belly and into the back. I'm going to take my black and I'm going to incorporate that into the legs, getting completely black near the feet. This will help define the feet. It almost kind of reminds me like he's wearing shoes, or she. Okay, now I'm going to take some brown and add that near the nose and under the eyes. And a bit more in the back. I'm going to take my orange and just blend all of these colors together. This is when you can use the full force of the pencil and fill in the background. If you have any stray marks, you can erase them now. And then take a step back and see if you want to make any adjustments before we move on to the watercolors. Now I'm pretty happy with my foxes, so I'm going to take my rainbow watercolor set and a couple of watercolor pencils. If you don't have watercolor pencils at home, you can always do these steps either just with the watercolors or with colored pencils after the watercolors have dried. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take some green and I'm going to mix it with some blue for the background forest color. And I'm just going to be dabbing it right now so that it'll give the sense that there's lots of leaves in the background. I want some parts to be darker and some parts to be lighter. So I'm using a pretty dry brush on dry paper so I can get that texture in my painting. And I want it to come down to the fox so we don't have any gaps. The forest looks continuous. I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to take some green and add that in too for more texture. And then I'm going to take my brown and I'm going to add in some trunks. I'm using the side of my brush for this so that I get nice long straight lines. You can also use a brown watercolor pencil. This is particularly good for the branches because then you get the nice thin lines. But the advantage of doing a watercolor pencil is that the lines will expand a bit and mix in with the background, which I'm trying to go for a faded background in this image, as I want the focus to be on foxes and not on the trees. I'm going to add in some more texture to our trunks. And to keep this from being too uniform, I'm going to add in some more trunks here. Make this a pretty woodsy area, and since it's a tree, it's going to go up past the painting. So I'm going to carry that color up. Then I'm going to use the side of my brush to blend it. I'll use a bit more green to bring out those leaves again. And since this is a snowy day in the forest, you might want some white to show through. So you can always take tissue and blot the color. You don't want to lose all of your color either. So you can have more leaves or less leaves. In my sample drawing, I did less leaves so that you can see the snow a bit better. In this drawing, I'm liking having all of this color. It's a nice contrast to the orange of the foxes. So I'm going to actually even add in some more green. This can be like spring after a long winter. And I'm using a mossy green. And I'm going to add in some blue too for pops of color. Can be like buds on the trees. Now, if you're like me and you paint a lot, you might have what I like to call scraps or leftover paint from other projects. So you can mix those together and get a nice gray color like I have here. And I'm going to use that for the rock. We have a big boulder, which is a good way to draw the unity between the two foxes, because the line of the boulder literally connects their smiles. And then this fox is standing on some boulders, but there's still some snow on the boulder, so I want to make sure I save some white for snow. And then there's snow on the ground, but there's also going to be some rocks, so I'm going to add in just touches of gray. And there's a piece of forest showing through here and here. I'm going to add in a bit of green there. I'm going to add in just a hint of green in my boulder. I'm going to take the mossy green and add some moss growing on the rock. And I'm going to add some more moss on this rock. And I'm going to take my brown and define the edges of the rock a bit more. Give it some shadow. And then this rock is almost like a wall, so we have like a cinder block cut out. And I'm going to add in some shading here too. And take some blue and add in some highlights here too. This will give it some more dimension. And take clean brush and add in some water just to help blend this a bit more. Maybe add in a bit more gray. And there you have it. That's our foxes. Thank you for joining us in this week's library drawing party. We have library drawing parties every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And keep being creative.